This is the A-10 Warthog, and it's turning Iranian proxy methods into nothing more than a practice scenario. After 3 years without a significant combat rotation, America's toughest aircraft is back in the region. And this time, it's not just providing close air support, it's hunting down mobile missile crews before they can vanish. Outfitted with advanced technology, these planes are now undertaking one of the most demanding roles in the arsenal: eliminate launcher crews before they can disappear. But the Houthis don't realize that this seasoned platform still has a few surprises in store. On March 29, 2025, multiple A-10 Warthogs from the 124th Fighter Wing, along with 300 support personnel from the 190th Fighter Squadron, were sent to the Middle East. This operation marks the largest such deployment of this renowned jet in 3 years, and it's far from just a symbolic gesture. Stationed at Al Dhafra Air Base in the United Arab Emirates, these jets are lending major support to naval forces dealing with an enemy known for ever-changing tactics. That's because the Houthis have adopted so-called shoot-and-move strategies to avoid detection. Their standard tactic goes something like this. Houthi operators receive targeting information from Iranian IRGC advisors through Starlink systems. Once they have the data, they maneuver camouflaged missile platforms out of mountainous shelters. These projectiles, typically C-802s, carry 165-kilogram armor-piercing warheads and can strike targets up to 180 kilometers away. While not cutting edge, launching enough of them increases the odds of scoring a damaging hit. However, the Houthis understand that once a missile is launched, the U.S. response is swift and overwhelming, so they relocate quickly. That typically involves moving the launchers from bunkers, tunnels, or ravines, launching the missiles, and hiding them again as soon as the projectile is airborne. This is precisely where the A-10 comes in to shut the operation down. The first verified mission occurred on April 1st. After departing their airfield, the Warthogs arrived in the target zone within 18 minutes. With an 11,000-pound fuel capacity, the A-10s can patrol over combat zones for up to 90 minutes before returning to base. But when supported by KC-135 refueling aircraft, these beasts can remain in flight as long as they're still carrying ammunition. And let's just say, the A-10 packs quite a punch. That barrel protruding from the front? That's the GAU-8A Avenger rotary gun, extending nearly 19 feet beneath the aircraft and jutting from the nose. It fires 30mm armor-piercing rounds at a blistering rate of 3,900 shots per minute. Each shell weighs nearly half a pound and features a depleted uranium tip. With this firepower, it can destroy armored vehicles within seconds. Against lightly armored vehicles or unprotected personnel like Houthi missile teams? The impact speaks for itself. On a pivotal day in April, a U.S. RC-135 rivet joint aircraft circling high above Yemen intercepted urgent Houthi communications. A missile strike was imminent. American cyber and electronic warfare units had already crippled much of the Houthis' secure communications infrastructure, forcing their commanders to rely on civilian cell phones, easy targets for U.S. signals intelligence. With less than 20 minutes to act, 2 A-10 Thunderbolt II aircraft, known as Warthogs, fired up their engines at a forward air base. Climbing swiftly into the thin air over Yemen's jagged central mountains, the aircraft roared toward the target zone. At top speed, around 420 miles per hour, the pilots had just 18 minutes to intercept the threat. As they raced to the location, the A-10 pilots relied on the AN/AAQ 28LITENING targeting pod, a highly advanced surveillance and targeting system mounted on pylons beneath the wings. This 87-inch, 440-pound device housed high-resolution infrared sensors, laser designators, and optical cameras capable of spotting human-sized heat signatures from 28 miles away. For this mission, though, the plan was to get in close. As the A-10s neared their objective, the pilot spotted a missile launcher being rolled out of a cave, completely exposed and oblivious to the approaching Warthogs. Previous strikes had knocked out Houthi radar coverage, giving the Americans the element of surprise. At a distance of 6,500 meters, the A-10 opened fire with their iconic GAU-8 Avenger, a 30mm cannon infamous for its ferocity and unmistakable BRRT sound. In just 2 seconds, 260 high-explosive rounds, each traveling at 3,500 feet per second, tore through the launcher and its crew, leaving only wreckage. It was a surgical, devastating strike, and just the first of many. Heat trails and titanium armor. Just days later, on April 2nd, a U.S. intelligence satellite detected unusual thermal signatures northeast of Sadr. In a nation where few own personal vehicles, let alone large military trucks, the presence of multiple 5-ton vehicles moving at night stood out. Analysts flagged the site as a possible mobile launcher encampment and handed the coordinates over to the Air Force. While formidable, the A-10 isn't designed for speed or stealth. It flies low and slow, an advantage for close air support, but a risk when it comes to anti-air defenses. To survive, the Warthog is armored with a 1,200-pound titanium bathtub that encases the pilot, capable of withstanding direct hits from armor-piercing rounds and ground fire, a feature that saved countless lives in past conflicts from Iraq to Afghanistan. As the Houthis scrambled to respond, they activated their remaining radar systems, hoping to catch the slow-moving A-10s off guard. But the U.S. was prepared. EA-18G Growlers, advanced electronic warfare aircraft, were already circling nearby, tasked with suppression of enemy air defenses, SEAD. Using their next-generation jammer, the Growlers emitted high-powered bursts, up to 270 kilowatts, that overloaded and effectively blinded Houthi radar arrays. Within 15 minutes, 3 radar sites had been silenced, clearing the skies for another A-10 strike run. Mavericks and mayhem with radar threats neutralized, the Warthog swept in. Through their lightning pods, pilots spotted 3 launchers, one partially hidden beneath camouflage netting. From 26 miles out, the lead pilot launched an AGM-65 Maverick, a laser-guided missile designed for high-value hardened targets. The missile struck with pinpoint accuracy, obliterating the primary launcher and scattering shrapnel that destroyed 2 more. As surviving Houthi crew tried to flee in a Toyota pickup, the trailing A-10 unleashed another short burst from its cannon, neutralizing 4 more fighters. The tempo of operations accelerated. On April 10th, another satellite picked up faint signals near Sadr. This time, analysts noticed something else: increased chatter from Iranian advisors embedded with the Houthi units. With cell towers destroyed, Iranian operatives had resorted to laying fiber optic cables underground, a desperate attempt to maintain coordination. But even bunkers couldn't hide. Using infrared and heat sensors in the lightning pods, 10 pilots could differentiate between operational launch sites and decoys. In one instance, a drone spotted a Houthi crew assembling a C-802 anti-ship missile launcher in Joff province. A nearby A-10, already on station, swooped in from 3,000 feet, waited until 7 nautical miles out, and fired 2 Mavericks. The launcher and its radar array were vaporized. Moments later, a fleeing technical vehicle was shredded by the Avenger cannon, ending the engagement. Psychological warfare in the skies. Not every mission ended in gunfire. In more populated regions, U.S. pilots used a tactic called a show of force. The A-10s would dive aggressively, fully armed with Mavericks and cannon ammo, but without firing. The sight and sound of the Warthog's low pass was often enough to scatter Houthi fighters or force them to abandon a site entirely. This psychological tactic neutralized threats without collateral damage, a powerful asset in a conflict fought among civilian populations. Between April 2nd and April 17th, A-10 aircraft flew 218 sorties without a single aircraft loss. They destroyed 47 missile systems and eliminated 9 high-ranking Houthi commanders, including foreign-trained specialists. Drone overwatch and satellite cues dramatically improved targeting precision, turning each A-10 into a flying executioner. Strategic impact and debate. By mid-April, the impact was undeniable. Houthi missile activity dropped over 70%, and previously endangered tanker traffic in the Red Sea resumed without escort. Radar locks on U.S. Navy vessels, once a near-daily threat, faded into silence. The campaign showed that even in the era of stealth jets and drones, the old A-10 remained a brutally effective platform for counterinsurgency and precision strikes. But success reignited an old debate. Despite its effectiveness, the A-10 faces potential retirement under Pentagon modernization plans. Critics argue the aircraft is too slow, too vulnerable, and not suited for peer-to-peer warfare. Yet in the rugged terrain and asymmetric battlefields of Yemen, few aircraft could match its performance. Marine and Navy commanders, who had long supported airframe retirement, began lobbying for extended deployments. On Capitol Hill, lawmakers demanded a re-evaluation of the A-10's role in future conflicts, citing its low cost, resilience, and overwhelming success in Yemen. The legacy endures today. The skies over Yemen are quieter. The Houthis have retreated, their launchers either destroyed or hidden. Iranian advisors have gone deeper underground, their fiber networks unable to shield them from America's ever-watching eyes. And though the A-10's future remains uncertain, its recent performance speaks for itself. For those on the ground, the familiar silhouette of the Warthog overhead means one of two things. Either it's simply passing by, or it's already lining up the shot.